Hello, hello. Welcome to Merriment Mondays Live. I am in my new house. It is a mess down here, and we are just celebrating the messy middles of life. Today, we are going to talk about being a spark in the world and why merriment is a movement. If you haven't seen, I launched this new project that I'm really excited about, and it's where I'm going to do 11,000 acts of joy, kindness, and merriment in less than a year. And I'm going to talk to you about it today. And oh, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, hopefully. We've got the desk set up down here. We've got the basics. We don't have the lights set up yet. We're all just making this work. Say hello, say where you're from, say where you're tuning in from, say hello, how you're feeling, drop an emoji, anything that you want. I should be able to see all of your comments. And welcome to today's episode. If you're new here, my name is Mary. And we're going to be talking about something that hits like confetti, but feels like a revolution. And the 11K Acts project it's a joy project, but it's also a movement. It's a map. It's a matchstick in something that might feel like a damp world sometimes, and we are going to talk about how to light that match up together. So yeah, tell me where you're tuning in from, and if you've been doing anything. I know that you guys all do your own acts of kindness. You're all your own merriment makers, and I would love to know whether you've been doing anything on your own lately or if you've been receiving acts of kindness, and just light it up. All right, so let's talk about how oh, hello. Hi, Nicole. Yes, we were just talking in the Positive Pulse. You're here from New Orleans. Nicole from New Orleans. Love it. So I think we've been lied to about joy. I think that we have been told that happiness is a treat. It's a dessert. It's something that we earn after we do, our chores, the dishes, and we're done. After we've processed all the trauma, after we've finished everything on the to-do list, after our inbox is cleared. And I want to reframe that into something that it's not the prize that we get for surviving, but it's the reason that we are here. It's the reason we survive. And neuroscience backs this up. Neuroscience shows that joy increases our resilience by buffering our nervous system against stress. Dopamine doesn't just feel good, it motivates us. It rewards you for engaging with life. And it actually rewires your brain towards curiosity and connection and being able to problem solve creatively. So when you get into a place where you're just so bogged down by the minutia and the tasks and everything, you kind of lose your ability to zoom out and figure out things. And we just get really honed in. And I can speak to this personally. I mean, this year for me has been a crazy year. I feel like I'm having a 2020 year. You know what I mean? I didn't really have a 2020 year in 2020 for the most part, but this has been my 2020. And I recently have just been like, what am I doing? I am working 10-hour days to pay the overhead for my business. And then I just repeat, I don't have any money left, and I'm not going out. I'm not having time to be a merriment maker. I'm not being a good student of my own practices. And I had this real reckoning this weekend, the clarity of a new house, the fresh start of a new chapter. And I realized the amount of things that I am overextending with and paying for and not being able to actually live my life. And I just kind of I made a list of everything that I'm doing differently. So that actually is going to look like this month, I'm restructuring everything. I'm taking away a lot of the bells and whistles of my business, and I'm breaking it just down to Mighty Networks with the Positive Pulse and the offerings that I have inside of there, my website, and my podcast. And outside of that, I'm decreasing slowly the hours with my contractors down 73% over time. I am reducing all of these other things that I pay for, just these extra programs that I'm paying for that are these overhead things that I end up just going broke with, you know, and I'm decreasing the amount of hours that I'm working every single day because I'm going nuts. Honestly, I'm going nuts and I'm not having time to go out and explore and be myself. And I know that when I go and do the things that make me happy, I actually have way more energy and inspiration and things to give and talk about. And you can't comment on a life that you're not living. And that's really what I have to offer. So I'm actually even going to get like a part-time job to help supplement this and then actually have money left over. And for a long time, I felt like there was a lot of ego in not wanting to do that because I felt like if I wasn't a full-time artist, merriment maker, what entrepreneur, that meant that I was a failure. But, you know, in the past 2 years, things have shifted pretty dynamically in terms of the economy. And, you know, I understand deeply that, you know, a non-essential thing for most people is, you know, with making a budget and everything, you're not going to be like prioritizing things like a massage or a self-development program, even though I think that happiness at the core of it in a holistic sense is actually, you know, if we do that, like the way that I'm saying, you know, I'm putting off my own happiness and people aren't just, you know, they're not going to prioritize buying one of my programs. It's not like on the budget, it's the first thing to strike. And the amount of people that have canceled my programs is substantial in the past 2 years, and I am just not making enough income. So that's what's happening right now with me. And just kind of zooming back to my point is that we can't let this like be the thing. We have to zoom out and be like, okay, what is it that's actually going to make me happy, and how can I restructure that, even if it looks different than I imagined, you know? So when I think about how can I buffer my nervous system against stress and towards joy, even though this seems kind of sad, this is actually the thing that's going to help me sustain merriment making for a longer period of time. This is not a failure in terms of my business or entrepreneurship or as an artist or as a teacher or as a writer or anything. This is something that's going to help me do this long term. And it's not that I'm going to stop giving things. It's just that I need to be able to create not like a boundary or whatever, but just figure out what this looks like so that it's sustainable, that I don't go crazy, you know? So if we think of our happiness like a candle in a blackout, if like all the electricity goes out in your neighborhood, it doesn't make the darkness go away, but it helps you find your footing, you know? The candle it's not changing the fact that the electricity's off, but you can still figure out how to move around. You know, you can figure out like, okay, I'm gonna get a snack and I'm gonna help find the thing that I need, or I'm gonna help walk down the stairs, you know? It's not the sun necessarily, but it's a signal. It's a little bit of a lighthouse, you know? And I think that if we think about happiness like that, it's not that the world has shifted necessarily. It's not even that like your problems are going away. We are always going to have consistent challenges, and we just get to continue lighting the candle over and over and over again. So I'd love to know whether you're here live in the replay or in the Positive Pulse later, what is something that is your candle or is your something that brings you happiness, real happiness, even if something feels super heavy, even if you're in a super stressful situation, you know? Like this past month has been crazy, like moving with mold and moving in a heat wave and then a flood and a crazy landlord, and then Matt and I both getting sick, and then the internet not working. I mean, the amount of things that happened in 1 week was like, it was a lot after a very, very stressful year. But then there's still things that make me feel happy, even no matter what, like joking with Matt or watching stand-up comedy or making a gratitude list. Like there's still little things that will always bring me joy. So what are those things for you? What are the things that are like, no matter what, it's like, those are the things that just click with you. And now I want to tell you, like, let's shift back into the 11K idea. So I was trying to think of specific ways that acts of kindness have made a ripple effect. And there's so many, because this is something that I have been doing as a person, not even as a professional or getting paid for it or as part of a, an online thing since I was a kid. When I was little, my grandma, a couple times a year, she would take me to a craft store, AC Moore. Those don't even exist anymore. And she would just say, you can get anything you'd like. And I always felt very bad, and I would only get a couple things. But what I would get was these little like sacks, goodie bags. And I would get like toys and or candy. And then I would go home, and sometimes I would also get one of those kits. Do you remember those little kits? I think they still make them. They're just different now. Like one of those, like in a box, it'd be like a friendship breeding kit. I always like those. Good one thing for me. But I would go home and I would make these goodie bags for everybody in my class. I always loved like Valentine's Day and the ability to like make a card for every single person in my class. That was one of my favorite things. I love that was an activity that was encouraged and normalized, I guess. But I love that concept. And I would go home and I would make these goodie bags and I would put names on them. And, when in elementary school and even middle school, it was a lot easier to deliver those in the day. But then by the time I got to high school, it got really elaborate. I had a lot of friends and, you're moving from class to class. So I would kind of map out where I would see people, even if it was in the hallway, and I would stack the goodie bags by the time frame that I would see them. And I would make it a mission and pass them out as I saw people. And I would love celebrating holidays and do things like that. So and that's not the only time that I ever did random acts of kindness, but I'm just trying to say that this has kind of always been in me to celebrate other people and do little tiny things for people. And then I was trying to think of something, maybe that really did impact someone. And something that came to me was when my cat died, Bug, in 2019. It was just this, it was tragic. It was awful. He was so young, and he was also a creature that had been shared online so deeply because I was blogging and people felt like they really know him. There were thousands of pictures of him online. There was even a category on my blog where he would I would act like I was him and post. And he was living with my dad. I had recently moved out a couple years before that, and my dad and him were just like really, really close at that time. And my dad took it so hard. And actually there's two prongs to this. So I put out a mail art call and said, can anyone just send cards to my dad to let him know that, like a grief card, like we're sorry for you or celebrate Bug in any way. And the answers to that call were incredible. So in that way, I kind of facilitated an act of kindness, right? Because the flooding of messages from you guys, it was out of control. And we'll never take that for granted. He was just so overwhelmed by that. And then something that I did for him was I hand assembled all of these pinwheels. There were hundreds of them. I think there were like 300. And I went to his yard and I just covered the entire yard with them. And I wrote a note that said, whenever the wind moves through these, Bug is saying hi to you. And when I put them up, it was emotional for me. When I put them up, nothing happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, why? Like, where's the wind? Like, I've been out here putting 300 in and not one has moved. And I was like, maybe this is broken. Like, maybe this doesn't work or something's wrong or something. And I walked back behind the house and I talked to Bug's grave. And I said, I took one that was orange because that's my dad's favorite color. And I put it in the ground by his grave. And I said, listen, I need you to believe in this. I need you to believe in magic. I need you to understand that Dad misses you so much and he's going crazy without you. And that this is like how you're going to communicate to him is through pinwheels. And I need you to move these. And then in a second, the orange one started like spinning so hard that it almost came out of the ground. And I just started crying and I was like, okay. And then I walked back out in front of the house and all of them were spinning. And maybe that was just the weather. I don't know, but it felt really cool. And then my dad came home from work and he saw it and he just He loved it. And they stayed there for a really long time. He wanted to mow the grass so bad, but he just left it. And then, at a certain point, we had to move them out. But then it's just kind of been a thing that I always make sure he has a pinwheel, just one. It demonstrates the bug. It's just a nice little message. And I mean, I was looking through, as I was making the 11K Acts project, my archives on my blog and in my phone and all these things on my social media of the ways that I've done deliberate and spontaneous acts of kindness. And I mean, I've definitely done probably close to that many in my lifetime. But my goal is by the time that my next birthday comes, which is June 21st in 2026, that I will have completed 11,111 acts of kindness. So I'd love to know, again, if you're here live or watching the replay, if you have ever had a moment where something like that small felt sacred or magical, and that, like, you're doing something really nice or profound, or just, I don't know, where you're just with somebody outside or a stranger. I was at a store just 2 days ago and I saw this person, and they had this it was a man with this like really, really, really neon colored satchel. And I said, I love that. I love that bag. And at first he thought I was talking about his shopping bag. And I said, no, that one. And he goes, oh, I made this. And I was like, I didn't expect that. He's wearing like all black, it didn't match him really at all, the rest of his aesthetics. And I was like, well, it's stunning. I would wear that. And his smile was just so big. There's little things. And that's actually something that I really, really, really want to show through this 11K Acts project, is that, there's really, I mean, I guess there's no way that it's impossible for me to do 11,000 acts where they're larger, right? But one of my things that I really want to demonstrate is that things like that, things just like complimenting someone, are equal and they matter. And something just like taking a cart back, or complimenting someone, or leaving a note, or thinking about someone else and being considerate, or putting someone else first, like, all of those things are important and they matter and they do add up. And as you look through the spreadsheet, which I'll tell you about, you're going to start seeing like, oh, wow, like if we really do look at these things and they add up, and we start noticing them, we do have an impact and we do have control, And sometimes kindness is random, but I think it's still deliberate. It is still strategic. When we say random acts of kindness, I think that really what we're trying to imply is that a lot of times it's happening through strangers. It's happening in interactions where we don't necessarily know the person, or we're abandoning art, right? But it is still an intentional act that we are deciding to do. It is also scientific and it's spiritual. And what's really going on is the world doesn't necessarily change through giant speeches or just sudden enlightenment. I think it changes in inches, in glances, and people watching what you do when you're in a grocery store and remembering it 3 years later when they're low. And again, science, I always want to remind you that science backs this up. This isn't just a frivolous, flighty situation. Mirror neurons cause other people to feel what they see you do. Kindness increases serotonin and oxytocin, which are chemicals that are regulating your mood and your trust. And positive emotional contagion is a real thing. So a 10-minute interaction can influence the mood of 3 degrees of separation. So your actions are dandelion seeds. Like when you blow, you don't necessarily get to control where they land or how they land, or if they plant and turn into a new thing, right? But you can still blow, and you can blow them into the wind and just hope and trust that they will land somewhere and maybe they will bloom. So type yes into the chat if you've ever done something kind and never even told anybody. That's your soul at work. That's the movement already moving. Let's do something together right now. You could do something so easily. Anyone can do this during the call. You can text a compliment right now. Take 30 seconds and use your phone and send a compliment to someone. You could do it with a DM, through social media, WhatsApp, or just a text. And text it to a compliment, or text someone a compliment maybe that they're not even expecting, or just something specific. I think the most granular compliments are the best, or it could be something that you appreciate. It can just be one sentence. It could be weird. It could be wonderful. It could be granular. It could be something like, I saw a photo of you recently and I thought, wow, I'm so lucky to know this person. You could say, you make everything you touch better. Or you existing in the world makes things less terrible. Or I really love the way that you're so open-minded. Or I just want to let you know that you're doing a great job and I really appreciate you. Take a minute to do that right now. Okay, and then the next thing that you can do, super easy right now, it's actually a preview for our group mission on Sunday, is to grab a sticky note. If you don't have a sticky note, you can just use a piece of paper, or you can even use your notes app on your phone if you want, and just write a compliment that you would want to receive. And then later, you're going to leave it somewhere. So you could leave it in a bathroom. You could leave it in a library book. You could leave it on the fridge for someone that you live with. You could put it in your kid's lunchbox, anywhere that someone else might stumble into, like a treasure. So this is where it becomes kind of like random, right? So it could be for someone deliberate, or it could be for a stranger. And there are, so you can even Google uncustomary.org and then type in compliments, and you're going to get a list of compliments. Or you could type in, and then you can also type in uncustomary.org and then places to leave gorilla art. And then you're going to get a list of ideas of places that you can plop these things. There's lists made for you. But just take a piece of paper. Sticky notes, I think, are really great because they already have the adhesive, but you could still use tape. You don't have to use tape, like if you just slide it into a library book, or you could use a magnet. It doesn't matter. Get creative with it and write something kind. Like, one of my favorite things is, you're as vibrant as a Lisa Frankfurter, or you're cooler than Fonzie, or just, you matter. I'm so glad that you're here. Positive words make a difference. And it's also not always even just the fact that, or it's not always what you write, it's just the fact that you've written something, So when I said it's a preview for the mission on Sunday, I'm going to get into an overview of the 11K project, but we're going to have every Sunday from now until my birthday in June. Every Sunday, there's going to be a new weekly mission that's going to give you an idea of something that you can do to participate in the 11K project. So it's just like, oh, here's an idea for how I can do something as an act of kindness, an act of joy, an act of merriment. And they're not going to all necessarily be a standard act of kindness, because the difference between the standard acts of kindness and me as merriment is that I believe that when I go out on the street and like hold up a sign, or I dress as a banana, that is the same bubble. I think it's the same kind of thing. I think that when we do the things, when you Google Pinterest on Pinterest and say, like, what are some acts of kindness? And it kind of always gives you the same thing, putting some coins in a vending machine, or donating to the thrift store, or doing the sticky note compliment thing. Those are fantastic ideas. There's nothing wrong with them. And I'm going to remind you to do those things too. And you can do different things too. If you want to get silly with it and dance in the grocery store, I think that is an expanded view on what this can be. I think that showcasing your joy and letting people see what it's like to live your life is a different way to view this. So we're going to do acts of joy, acts of merriment, acts of silliness, acts of kindness. And I think that is a fun, new, expanded way to do this. So that's why it's not just an acts of joy project, it's an acts of merriment project. If so much washi tape, don't know what to use it for. Yeah. And you can get so creative with this, right? If you are somebody that like hoards craft supplies, oh my gosh, you are going to have so much fun with the challenges, because look at this. Like, I mean, just the sticky note compliment thing. One, you don't have to do just one sticky note, right? You could do 100. Two, you could make one big piece. You could do a poster and you could just decorate the crap out of it. You could do a giant poster and hang it up on a bulletin board somewhere. You could like cover that in washi tape. You could write the compliment in washi tape. I mean, like, go to town on however you want to do this. There are no rules in the merriment world. There's absolutely no boundaries. It's just about having fun. You know what I mean? Like, let's just do this. Let's just have fun. Let's spread joy. Let's spread kindness and silliness and absurdity and fun. Let's get back to this, you know? And okay, so also let's brainstorm like some compliments. I would love to see like what you are thinking, like you want to write. And now I'm going to tell you more about the 11K merriment experiment. All right. Are you excited? Because I'm like so jazzed about it. I'm also like generally bummed that this is my background to tell you about this thing, and it's reminding me so much of when I moved into my old house. And the first thing that I got to do was interview Wendy McClendon Covey of Reno 911, who I'm like so obsessed with. And I just like didn't have lights, I didn't have a background, and I looked so terrible on the interview. And it's like I'm getting to interview like a celebrity almost for the first time, and it was just such horrible quality. And now I'm announcing something that I think is going to be one of the things that maybe I don't want to say known for, but like one of the biggest things that I've done, you know. And this is like going to be the footage of me explaining it, and I'm just like, oh, isn't this just me though? I'm just like in a rainbow with like a hoarse voice from a cold in the middle of a move, and I'm like, well. But this is real life, you know. This is the messy middle of life, and everything is always in flux. And I just want to remind you that you don't have to be a perfectionist, even though there's like part of us that's like, oh my goodness, I really, really, really want this to be better. But the point is that I'm still going, you know, after everything in a much bigger sense, you know, the amount of times that I could have stopped and not even be alive, and I'm still going. Yes, at least it's joyful chaos. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the 11K project experiment. I don't even know. All right. So the incentive. Well, actually, my inspiration for this was I saw, you know, I can't even remember his thing right now. And I have my phone and the computer up right now. So that's a bummer. I should be able to give this guy credit. Hold on. 1 second. 1 follow for 1 mile run Instagram. Oh, okay. I think that's him. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's an Instagram account, and it's spelled Gagiegram. Gagigram? Don't know. But someone reposted this on my feed, and this guy is overweight and he's running. He's starting to run. And kudos, because I hate running. I mean, I would do anything instead of run in terms of exercise. But he made this challenge that for every follower he gets, he's going to run a mile. And then it just blew up. People were like, yeah, let's go. Now he has like almost 2 million followers. And I'm like, I don't even think that that's possible. But that's not the point, right? It's like when you set a goal to lose weight, you might set a goal to lose, I don't know, 20 pounds. But if you lose 19, it's not a failure. You still did it, right? So I don't know, is it physically possible to run 2 million miles in a lifetime? I don't know. But the point is that like people are cheering him on. And some people, when I see them posting, they're like, man, I'm so sorry that I gave you another mile by following you. But that's, you know, that's how they're supporting him, and they want to see his journey, and he's just doing it out there, and it's messy and it's just happening. And it started clicking around in my mind of, what if I did that for joy and kindness and fun? And obviously it would be great to get more eyes on this and to have more followers and more fun and more people engaging with this, of course. But I'm going to do this many regardless. That's my goal, the same with him, and so the tagline, so to speak, is one follow for one act. But again, I've already done over 100 already, and I haven't gotten any new followers. So my point is that, I want it to blow up. I would love for it to go viral, but if it doesn't, this is my project. I'm going to do it. So this is a public joy experiment by me. And the idea is that every time someone follows, I'm gonna log it. I logged how many followers I had when I started, and I'm gonna see what happens as this grows. But when I'm logging an act of kindness, of joy, then I am putting it in a spreadsheet, and I have this tracker, and you can see the tracker publicly. Okay, so you can look, and I'm trying to update it every week, and the tracker is uncustomary.org/11K tracker. And the links to everything and the overall explanation is it's in the link in my bio, and it's on my website, and it's just uncustomary.org/11K. Okay, 11K. And the tracker is really cool. So there's different columns, and it has the date that the thing was done. It has a division of act types. So right now it's spread into kindness to strangers, joy in public spaces, digital merriment, creative expression, snail mail and gifts, service and support, celebration and cheerleading, community building, and then group missions. And then we have subtypes. So this is probably going to expand as I learn, as you learn as you grow, right? But there's everything from a social media post and podcasts to wearing a colorful outfit and sending a voice note to posting a sticker, sidewalk chalk, mail, goodie bags, letting someone cross the street, hosting an event, leaving a review, giving a compliment, doing a favor, holding the door, paying for someone, picking up litter, donating, performance art, sharing good news, thank you notes, watering plants, helping an animal, all of these things, right? And then there's a description where I can explain more and give more context. So it doesn't just say leave a review. I'll say left a review for this person. And then if I'll say the location or platform. So if it's Spotify, or if it's in Baltimore, or if it was a specific location, then I'll describe that. And then there's a count location in the column. So if it was just a 1 for 1, it's one social media post, then I'll just write 1. Or if it was an event and it affected 10 people, then I'll write 10. And then there's a section where it says group mission. And most of the time, I think that's going to be no. Unless it was something submitted by you, which I'll get to you in a second, or that's pretty much it. And then there's a section where it says media captured, and most of the time that's going to say yes. And then that means is there a picture or a video that goes with this that you can get more context from? And then the next column says link for media, and you can click on view, because if there is media, then I've uploaded it to a separate folder, and you can click on view and it'll take you. And that might be to the actual podcast or the Instagram, or just to a separate video or photo that I uploaded during that thing. So maybe I actually took a video of me letting someone cross the street, and you can actually see that. And then the last thing to note for the tracker is at the top, there is an automatic thing that you can do in spreadsheets. I'll tell you what, I hate spreadsheets. This is the only spreadsheet I've ever been excited about. And it took me so long to set this up, because there's something in my brain that just doesn't understand, Excel and spreadsheets and stuff. The math of it, I'm just like, oh. But there's a running count of how many I have done. And then it automatically adds that up, and then it subtracts from the other column. So it tells you how many I have left. Okay. All right. So then the next thing to understand is there is a submit form. So this is found at uncustomary.org/11K submission. Again, all of the links can be found on the same page at uncustomary.org/11K. So this is a form where you go and you just, if you want to share something that you've done during this entire year and you want to like have it count towards the 11,000, go for it. We've already had people do the submissions that I haven't even really talked about. I've just been sharing on Instagram. So you just share your email, your name, where you did it, what you did, if you want it to be kept anonymous or not. If you have a social media handle you want me to tag you in, a picture from the thing, and how many acts it counted towards. So like if you sent 10 cards, you would say 10, but if it's just one card or whatever, then you would say one, right? And you get to decide all of these things. And then that's pretty much that. So, all right. And then like, what counts for this, right? So again, you get to be really open to what counts as fun and kind and joyful. It's a compliment. It's mailing postcards. It's helping a stranger. It's making public art. If it's inspired by this in any way, community stuff, hosting an event, being nice, deciding to like cook dinner for somebody or putting on their favorite show, like start expanding your brain about how you can be a kind, fun, silly merriment maker, you know, and do it through your lens. What kind of job do you have? Like I always talk about how I want and need, the world needs merriment makers from all walks of life. Like when I was a kid and my doctor would give me a sticker at my physical, that was merriment making. They don't have to do that, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So how can you be a merriment maker in your walk of life that's different and count every single one of those? You can make a submission every day, 4 times a day. I don't care. And yeah, that's going towards the total count. I want your help. 11,000 is a lot. And I don't think that it subtracts from this thing. I want this to be a global movement. I want this to come from every state and country. I think that it would just be fantastic. And if I can do more than 11,000, oh my gosh, how amazing would that be? How incredible. So yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, so then on social media, on Instagram, which is where I'm trying to drive the follows. Like, yeah, I mean, if you follow me on, you know, Facebook or YouTube or whatever, that's also fine if that's your preferred thing. I'm trying to, because my preferred thing is Instagram, so that's where I am hoping to gain, you know, the focus and follows, whatever. But that's my hope. So in terms of how to participate, I would say follow me there. Share. There's a video pinned at the very top of my profile that's kind of like a highlight reel of what's happening. And you can share that. And then you can note on Sunday, every Sunday, starting this Sunday. Actually, I think we already did one. I think we just did one yesterday. There's a weekly group mission that's posted, just like I said, like with the sticky notes, right? So every Sunday there's a new group mission and you get to use that as ideas, but don't limit yourself to those. And if you don't like those, don't do them. Just do whatever makes sense for you. And then submit your acts on the submission form on customary.org/11K submission, and share, follow, share, submit. Those are the best ways that you can help this project. Now, what else do I have for you? So in terms of social media, Sundays are the group submissions. Wednesday, I'm going to feature something that I did. And Fridays is a community feature. So when you submit your acts, I get that information. And then on Fridays, I'm going to start featuring stuff that you've already done. I already have one loaded up for Friday. It's so cool. You guys have already shared stuff. It's amazing. I'm in love with it. So yeah. And then if you go to the main page on customary.org/11K, there's also a free download that you can get, which is 111 ideas of ways to spread joy. So if you ever feel like you're uninspired or you're just wanting some extra ideas, there's a free download and you can just grab that. Okay, so I think I went over everything. Yeah, for that. If you have any questions, let me know. This is going on for almost a year. And yeah, I think you can also submit something that you've done in like the past month. I'm not going to be super strict about it. Like if you've done something in the past month that you think counts, you can go ahead and submit it. I don't think it has to count from today on. I think it's fine. Because here's the thing. I mentioned that like part of it is I want to showcase how granular this can be, from like helping someone pick something up or complimenting someone or letting someone cross the street. And that when you look at the spreadsheet, you're going to start to see things add up. And maybe there's going to be some people who are like, well, that doesn't really like matter or count, right? And first of all, I don't know. I just know that that's going to happen, right? Because that's how the internet works. But for the rest of us, I know that what's going to start to happen is we're going to be like, there is good in the world. And that's what I want us to take away from this. And that with good news, when we feel overwhelmed and inundated by bad news, right? And whatever that is, right? And even just our own lives, not just what's on TV and the internet, but just our own world, our own circumstances and situations and stress. We cannot see things on pages and Instagram accounts like Good News Network and Goodable and Tank's Good News, or even my account, if it has not been done in the first place, documented, and then shared. Those are the three things that are so important. And we dial down the importance of small acts so much. We think that good news needs to be like on this, like how war is so bad. We think that a good act needs to be at the same level of intensity, and it is not true. It's not true. Good news is good news. In fact, all news is neither good nor bad. It's just based on your preference, right? When it comes down to it. So I need you to start understanding that nothing is too small for you to document and share. And if people didn't think to photograph and videotape their experiences, like when a kid does something silly or a pet does something insane, or a person shares a kidney and then videotapes that experience, like maybe sometimes it's voyeuristic or indulgent or selfish. I don't know. We can label anything as anything, but it also creates emotion. It makes us cry. It makes us feel connected. And it gives us reminders of positivity and faith in humanity. And you get to be that person that makes the movement and then documents it. In this world, we need that. And we need it to be granular and raw and real. We are inundated by so much content, and not enough of it is human, So do not feel silly for taking a picture and sharing and talking about how you wrote a thank you note. Because if we get to a year and we've done over 10,000 acts with all of our help, that's something, honey. That's more than something. And if your thank you note helps add that up, I mean, if 10,000 people do one thing, that's the whole thing, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's so much. It's so much. It matters so much. Do not think it does not matter. It does. And this movement, this idea, this project is not for people who always feel good either. I don't want you to think that you have to be waking up happy every day, not be neurodivergent or chronically ill or not in pain. This is for everybody. This is for people who just still keep going, right? I just mentioned, like, I'm still here, right? If we want to go through the list of things that I have, my fucking 12 neurodivergent diagnoses and my multiple physical ailments, I just realized I need to get scanned again for my cancer thing. Like, it's about continuing to go, continuing to show up. It's about knowing that there's bad, knowing that there's the possibility of pain, knowing that we are temporary here, and showing up anyway and choosing to find the good. I always say that there's that bumper sticker that says, if you're angry, you're not paying attention. And I say, well, then the opposite is true too. If you're not excited or looking for the good, you're not going to find it. You are allowed to cry while you're writing your compliment. You're allowed to be in pain while you're doing it. You're allowed to postpone it a day. You're allowed to question your impact and your existence and your humanity and just do it anyway. You're allowed to be frustrated when someone takes it down. We can talk about this as we go through it. I have lessons in the Merriment Makers Vault about how, like, when people, I've been doing installations on the street of random acts of kindness and public art installations, and how frustrating it is when people deface it or destroy it. I understand all of that. I do. But I haven't stopped, honey. I haven't stopped. The world taught us to associate activism with anger and art with talent and joy with naivety, and we are flipping that around. We are making happiness look like you. However you dance, someone else is dancing like that. Whenever someone raises their hand, there are at least 3 other people who have the same question who don't have the courage to do it for 3 different reasons. So please be yourself. Please raise your fucking hand. Please be the person that's brave enough, vulnerable enough to dance and put up the note, even though expect that someone's going to take it down. Expect someone's going to take it the wrong way. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're making happiness look like you. We're making it messy. We're making it magical. We're making it present and weird and kind, and we're going to still keep going. Zora just said, I'm Zora. I'm from Arkansas, and thank you for your emails. I am happy to have them every day. Thank you, Zora. I love your name. What does that mean? Do you know the meaning of that? I love that. Okay, I'm going to get off my Merriment pedestal. And if you want more like Zora, if you want more emails or you want more resources, or your heart perked up, in this call, what do we want to call this? If you felt less alone, if you want more weird joy missions and soft structure, come join me in the Positive Pulse. It's free. It's gentle. It's got pep talks. It's got some EFT sessions. It's got almost 200 free resources and a community that is just continuing to grow. And we're almost at 800 members now. And I'm going to be posting updates about the 11K project. And yeah, you can join at uncustomary.org/PP for Positive Pulse. And if you're in the Positive Pulse, there are some bonuses that come with this replay, which will be up later today. And there's 11 compliment ideas that you can leave behind. There's 5 joy acts that you can do in under 5 minutes. There's a couple journaling prompts to help you reflect on your own ripple. And you can go check them out within a couple hours when this replay's up. And yeah, I would love for you to know, or for me to know, like, what you got from this. And if you have any compliment ideas, if you were planning on doing something, if you got inspired, if anything is happening in your brain right now. Zora means light and dawn in Slovenian. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, well, I think we're good. And just go follow me on Instagram at Merriment Maker. And if you haven't liked this episode, wherever you're watching, like it, like the chat. Follow me on YouTube too. And the next Merriment Mondays will be in 2 weeks on the 25th. And there's new podcasts about every week on the Merriment Making podcast, available pretty much everywhere you listen. I don't know what to say about that. I use Spotify to listen to stuff, but I don't know. It just broadcasts everywhere pretty much. And what else? We saw the Positive Pulse and 11K. You can get that free download of 111 ideas over there. I have a newsletter, like Zora said, getting the emails. That's uncustomary.org/newsletter. And yeah. And if you want to go further, there's a bunch of additional things that you can get when you're inside the Positive Pulse. I have a lot of like other programs that are paid. I mean, that's how I make my money. That's my business. But like my favorite thing right now is 111 FM. It's my take on positive radio. And there's like pep talks and EFT and joy broadcasts and voice notes and challenges and printables and stuff. And it's less than $1 a day. I think it's super fun and accessible, and I love it. But I also have things like 5-day resets, 30-day resets, and vaults. I mean, the Merriment vault that I referenced earlier is like, I mean, there's like thousands of resources in there. It's incredible. It's truly incredible. And I don't know, there's a bunch of things. You can get good news texts. You can get Merriment mail. I have a lot of things. So if you do have the money to spend on your happiness, then I'm your place to do that. But I love you, and I hope that you are having a wonderful Monday. And I can't wait to see what you guys end up submitting for the 11K project. I can't wait to see how this develops. And I can't wait to organize all this so the background of my new place doesn't look like a tornado. And I'm actually going to go work on that a little bit right now. So thank you so much for joining. And remember that you have to feel good to do good. I love you so much. So much. Bye.